Welcome to the world of stories. This is HRB Verse, where every story is real, heartfelt, and unforgettable. Subscribe now and become part of a journey you'll never forget. My family mocked me at a $1,200 family picnic I covered, so I froze all their accounts in a matter of seconds. By morning, they were pleading for access again. They laughed, calling me the invisible financier. I smirked, tapped freeze all, and watched their world unravel. They thought it was just another Sunday. Same park, same tablecloth, same expectation that I'd pay without a word. At the picnic, my brother lifted his glass and declared, "To the shadow who funds everything but still doesn't fit in." My mother chuckled. My sister chimed in, "Here's to the silent cash flow." I raised my drink and said, "To the silent cash that's now gone." I sipped, pulled out my phone, and hit freeze all accounts. My sister's face paled, my father started yelling, and my brother's rent payment failed mid-toast. That picnic was costly, but it was worth every penny. They assumed it was just another routine family gathering at the usual park. The same checkered tablecloth my mother always ironed. The same assumptions. Linda will pay. Linda will tidy up. Linda will be thankful for a seat at the adult table, even though he's nearing 40. But this time was different. This time was extravagant. I made sure of it. They wanted catering this time. Something fancier than hot dogs, Monica texted in the group chat. Derek suggested ribs and seafood because why not? They weren't footing the bill. Monica brought 3 bottles of cheap soda and a 6-pack of budget beer. My mother called the night before, asking if I could grab folding chairs since my father's back was bothering him. Smiling, I said, "Sure, I'll handle it." Of course I did. I always do. They know how to take everything. When my wife packed up and left with our daughter, no one checked on me. They asked if I could still help Derek with his move. When I took a second job working nights at a warehouse, my mother called to say their dishwasher broke. When I didn't reply right away, she texted 3 times. I sent the money anyway. I wasn't using it. I wear the same 3 shirts to work. I keep a small bag in my van for gym showers. My Tacoma's heater only works above 40 miles per hour. My boots are so worn the leather's peeling at the toes. I don't buy anything for myself, but I paid off their Kia. I covered Monica's health insurance for 3 months because she was between jobs again. Derek earns more than me with fewer hours, yet I co-signed his lease and paid the deposit. So the picnic was lavish. I hired a local BBQ truck, told them to add a service fee, and tipped generously. I rented speakers, coolers, and tables, even paying for insurance I knew wasn't needed. It all went on my card, and I stayed quiet. When we arrived, everything looked perfect. Derek showed up in sunglasses and a tank top, acting like he'd planned it all. Monica posted a photo, captioned, "Fam Jam 2025. With no mention of who paid. My mother admired the setup and said it was nice to see everyone contributing for once. I just nodded. Then came the moment. Derek raised his beer like he was toasting a grand event, smirking as if we shared a private joke. "To the shadow, who funds everything but still doesn't belong." My mother laughed. Monica clinked her glass, saying, "To the invisible bankroll," I responded. "To the invisible bankroll that just evaporated." I hit the freeze button under the table. Joint accounts, family Venmo, my mother's grocery card, all locked in 5 seconds. I kept eating my ribs, silent. The cracks appeared fast. Monica tried ordering more drinks. Her card was declined twice. Derek got a bank alert about a failed rent payment. My father approached, phone in hand, feigning confusion, asking if the bank was down. I told him to try again tomorrow. They didn't get it yet. They thought it was a glitch, maybe fraud, something external. They didn't know I'd cut them off. Not yet. But they would. This was just the start, the first twist of the knife. For once, I wasn't going to be the quiet one, the family ATM. They thought they were shaming me. They didn't realize they'd already lost, and I was just beginning. I heard nothing from them that night, no thank yous, no silly memes in the group chat. That told me everything. They were panicking, probably blaming the bank or refreshing their apps, thinking it was a fraud alert. I knew Monica would crack first. Her life runs on subscriptions. Derek likely didn't notice until his rent hit. My mother would sense the shift but wouldn't fully grasp what it meant. By dawn, the calls began. Monica texted, "Hey, did you move money or something?" I didn't reply. "My card's not working. Can you check?" I didn't. I knew why. She called twice. I sent her to voicemail. At work, I sipped burnt coffee in the break room as my phone lit up. My father called. Then Derek. My mother's voicemail sounded like she was forcing a smile. I let it pile up. Monica emailed saying she was worried about me, her polite way of saying, "Fix this." I replied, "The accounts are closed. No details. I owed her none. Derek called next, voice sharp, no small talk. His rent payment bounced, and the leasing office threatened to void his move-in without another deposit by Friday. I told him he should have saved some of that beer money. He hung up. I went to his new apartment complex, which I'd co-gill. My family ridiculed me at a $1,200 family picnic I funded, so I froze their accounts in an instant. By morning, they were pleading for access to be restored. They laughed, calling me the unseen benefactor. I grinned, tapped lock all, and watched their lives unravel. They assumed it was just another Sunday. Same park, same tablecloth, same expectation I'd cover the cost without a murmur. At the picnic, my brother raised his glass and proclaimed, "To the phantom who funds everything yet remains an outsider." My mother chuckled. My sister added, "Here's to the unseen cash." I lifted my drink and said, "To the unseen cash that's now vanished." I sipped, opened my phone, and hit lock all accounts. My sister paled, my father shouted, and my brother's rent payment failed mid-toast. That picnic was costly, but worth every cent. They thought it was just another family Sunday at the usual park, the same checkered tablecloth my mother always insisted on ironing, the same assumptions: Mark will pay, Mark will clean up, Mark will be grateful to sit at the adult table even though he's nearing 40. But this time was different. This time was extravagant. I ensured it was. They demanded catering this time, something better than hot dogs, Sarah texted in the group chat. Tom suggested ribs and shrimp, because why not? They weren't paying. Sarah brought 3 bottles of off-brand soda and a 6-pack of cheap beer. My mother called the night before asking if I could grab folding chairs because my father's back was acting up. Smiling, I said, "Sure, I'll take care of it." Of course I did. I always do. They know how to take it all. When my wife packed up and left with our daughter, no one asked how I was. They asked if I could still help Tom move. When I took a night warehouse job, my mother called to say their dishwasher broke. When I didn't reply instantly, she texted 3 times. I sent the money anyway. I wasn't spending it. I wear the same 3 shirts to work. I keep a small bag in my van for gym showers. My truck's heater only works above 40 miles per hour. My boots are so worn, the leather's splitting at the toes. I buy nothing for myself, but I paid off their car loan. I covered Sarah's health insurance for 3 months because she was between jobs again. Tom earns more than me, works less, yet I co-signed his lease and paid the deposit. So the picnic was lavish. I hired a local BBQ truck, told them to add a service fee, and tipped generously. I rented speakers, coolers, tables, and paid for unneeded insurance. It all went on my card, and I said nothing. The setup looked flawless. Tom arrived in sunglasses and a tank top, acting like he'd orchestrated it all. Sarah posted a photo, captioned, "Family Bash 2025, no mention of who paid. My mother praised the setup, saying it was nice to see everyone pitching in. I just nodded. Then came the moment. Tom raised his beer like he was toasting a wedding, smirking as if we shared a secret jest. "To the phantom who funds it all but doesn't belong." My mother laughed. Sarah clinked her glass, saying, "To the hidden bankroll." I replied, "To the hidden bankroll that just disappeared." I hit the lock button under the table. Joint accounts, family payment apps, my mother's grocery card, gone in seconds. I kept eating my ribs silent. The cracks showed quickly. Sarah tried ordering more drinks. Her card was declined twice. Tom got a bank alert about a failed rent payment. My father approached, phone in hand, feigning confusion, asking if the bank was down. I told him to try again tomorrow. They didn't get it yet. They thought it was a glitch, maybe fraud, something external. They didn't know I'd pulled the plug. Not yet, but they would. This was just the beginning, the first turn of the screw. For once, I wasn't the silent one, the family ATM. They thought they were shaming me. They didn't realize they'd already lost, and I was just starting. I heard nothing from them that night. No thanks, no silly group chat memes. That told me everything. They were scrambling, probably blaming the bank or refreshing apps, thinking it was a fraud alert. I knew Sarah would panic first. Her life runs on subscriptions. Tom likely didn't notice until the rent hit. My mother would sense the shift but not fully grasp it. By dawn, the calls started. Sarah texted, "Hey, did you move money or something?" I didn't reply. "My card's not working, can you check?" I didn't. I knew why. She called twice. I sent her to voicemail. At work, I sipped burnt coffee in the break room as my phone lit up. My father called, then Tom.
My mother's voicemail sounded like she was forcing a smile. I let it pile up. Sarah emailed, saying she was worried about me. Her polite way of saying, "Fix this." I replied, "The accounts are locked. No explanation." I owed her none. Tom called next, voice sharp, no pleasantries. His rent payment bounced, and the leasing office threatened to cancel his move-in without another deposit by Friday. I told him he should have saved some of that beer money. He hung up. I went to his new apartment complex, which I'd co-signed. I waited in the leasing office while the receptionist contacted the manager. I calmly explained I was withdrawing my application and canceling the deposit. They said I'd be liable if the lease was signed. I smiled and told them to check the status. It was pending. No lease, no obligación. I stopped the payment before leaving. Tom showed up at my door, knocking like a cop. I didn't answer. He paced, trying to call me from his phone, then another's. When I finally opened the door, he was shouting, saying I'd screwed him over, made him look foolish, ruined his fresh start. I leaned against the doorframe, asking what kind of fresh start needed my money to exist. He ranted, listing everything he thought he was owed, like he was reading a script. I asked if he remembered when I asked for help after my divorce, when I couldn't sleep, working nights, crying in the work bathroom, when my wife took our daughter to Mexico without telling me until they landed. He didn't answer. I told him to leave. He muttered something as he walked to his car, probably an insult he thought would sting. I didn't care. I watched him drive off in the car I helped him fix last summer. My father left a voicemail, saying they'd been talking and it was time to lay it all out. He wanted to sort things as a family, said I might have taken it too personally, but they were ready for a serious talk. He used mutual expectations, like it was from a corporate handbook. I didn't call back. Let them talk. Let them panic. Let them feel what I felt for years. Alone, pressured, both useful and disposable. The best part wasn't revenge. Not yet. I was still being reasonable. They had no idea how far I'd go, but they were about to find out. This is part 3 of Mark's story. They were trying to stay calm, but it was unraveling faster than they could handle. Sarah posted an Instagram story, a photo of her feet on a patio, captioned, "Some reveal their true selves when it's inconvenient." Vague for her friends, but I knew it was about me. Tom shared a meme about family, tagging no one. Subtle, right? They didn't know I'd gone further. That same day, I logged into the utility portal. I've been paying my parents' electricity and water since 2022. They always promised to repay me when things stabilized. Guess what never did? I canceled autopay, removed my card, and marked it as moved out. My mother texted, "Something wrong with the utility payments? Got a shut-off notice." I left it on read. It wasn't cruel. Not really. I'd given them years of my life. I paid their bills while they vacationed. I skipped dentist visits while they redecorated. I sold my coin collection to cover my father's late tax debt. I never threw it in their faces, never made them feel small for asking. They made me feel small constantly. Tom said I couldn't keep a woman. Sarah mocked my shoes, asking if I was going minimalist. My father said he was glad I didn't have my daughter full-time with my work hours. That one stuck, so I felt no guilt when Sarah texted, asking if I canceled her streaming subscription. I had the shared Netflix and phone plan, which I still paid for, but she'd said the family package was better value. She called it childish when she was locked out. I replied, "I agree." Then silence. Their tactics shifted. Guilt became bargaining. My mother called, leaving a voicemail about missing how things were. She said she didn't want money, just to talk. Then asked if I'd reactivate the card for 1 month since their new payment method wasn't approved. Tom texted, "I know we've had issues, but this is too much." Sarah went quiet but updated her LinkedIn with a job she didn't have, likely fishing for a new co-signer. Good luck. I wasn't angry anymore. It felt like decluttering, clearing out years of rotting baggage, one piece at a time, until the air was fresh and the floor wasn't sticky. I started cooking real meals again. I bought new shoes, not expensive, just ones that didn't creak. It felt absurd to buy something for myself. I stood in the store, holding the box for 20 minutes before letting myself check out. That's when I knew what this was, not vengeance, but subtraction. And I wasn't done. I expected more noise, another guilt trip voicemail, maybe Tom posting a cryptic Instagram story pretending he didn't care. Instead, Sarah showed up at my porch. She hadn't been to my place since the divorce. It wasn't a friendly visit. Nobody in this family shows up without a motive. She wore sunglasses, like she didn't want to be seen. She held a large yellow envelope. She didn't ask to come in, just sat on the doorstep and said she wasn't there to argue. The envelope held shredded papers, not trash, but copies of checks I'd written over the years. Rent money, vet bills, a $600 transfer labeled for deposit, please thanks. At least 12 different handwriting samples, mostly hers. She said she was cleaning her apartment, planning to leave the state, maybe Colorado or back to Florida, where an old roommate owed her a favor. Then she said something odd. "I think I ruined everything. Not just with you, with everyone." She went quiet, seemed like she might cry, but I wasn't sure I cared. Then she said something that floored me. "Remember that $500 in 2021? The one I said was for rent, so I wouldn't be evicted. She admitted some went to a married man she was seeing, who'd threatened to leak photos she'd sent. She was too ashamed to admit it then, thought she could fix it without involving me, but couldn't. I sat in the doorway, unsure what to say. Not because I felt nothing, but because I couldn't tell if she was being honest or just switching tactics. She said she wasn't asking for money, just wanted me to know she was sorry and wouldn't bother me again. She left the envelope and walked to her car, didn't look back. It should have felt like a turning point, like maybe this mess could be untangled. Then came the next shock. I got an email from an unfamiliar bank asking me to verify a loan application. They needed identity confirmation. When I called, they said someone used my info for a personal loan, but the email was slightly off. Glance 32 instead of glance 23, just enough to slip through. The bank said it was flagged because some documents looked photocopied. I knew it was an old W-2, probably one I'd sent Tom for a job he never followed through on. That broke something in me I didn't know was still whole. I filed a fraud complaint, locked all accounts, changed passwords, and ensured Tom's name was flagged in every financial database I could access. It felt surgical, cold, precise, and long overdue. I called his old landlady, told the truth. Tom left his last place with damage and used someone else's info for his new lease. She sounded tired but grateful, said he'd already missed the first utility setup. I knew he was all talk, she said. I replied, we all did. Took me longer, but nothing prepared me for what came next. An unknown number from Mexico called. I almost ignored it. It was my daughter's school nurse in Merida, saying she'd listed me as a backup contact and they couldn't reach her mother for over 48 hours. My ex had left for Cancun with a new partner, leaving our daughter with a neighbor who then left for work and didn't return. I froze, couldn't form words. The nurse said, we didn't want to alarm you, but it's not good. You should come. I packed a duffel and flew to Mexico City, then Merida on the first available flight. I didn't tell anyone, not work, not family. I just left. Mid-layover, Tom texted, you're ghosting your whole family over money? I didn't reply. Then my mother, what's happening to this family? I drafted a response, then deleted it. I had bigger concerns. My daughter was alone in a country where I had no legal custody rights, and no one had checked on her. My anger sharpened into something new. I landed in Merida past midnight. The airport was quiet, just a few cabs and locals waiting. I had no checked bags, just my passport, a backpack, and one mission: get to my daughter. The nurse gave me the neighbor's address on the city's outskirts. I paid the cab driver extra to wait while I knocked. My daughter was asleep on a couch in a house smelling of dust and cooking oil. The neighbor, a man in his 50s who barely spoke English, was as confused as I was. He said her mother went to Cancun with a friend and stopped answering her phone. I thanked him, picked up my daughter, and took her to a motel. She didn't ask why I was there, just hugged me and whispered, I missed you. I said the same. We stayed there, just us. I took her to the beach one morning. We ate mangoes and churros, wandered markets, watched Spanish cartoons. It was the first time I felt like a father in over 3 years. My ex texted, everything okay? I didn't respond. Instead, I visited a lawyer the nurse recommended, asking about custody or neglect claims. I knew the odds were against me, but I had to try. Back in the U.S., things were collapsing. Tom's new lease was revoked. The leasing company asked if I wanted to press fraud charges. I said I was considering it. Sarah posted a selfie, captioned, some won't love you if they can't use you. Poetic, she thought. My mother sent a long text, saying I was unrecognizable, acting cruelly, poisoning the family. She said they'd forgive me if I stopped. I stared at it for 5 minutes, then turned off my phone. I'd forgiven them countless times. They called it duty. When I returned to the U.S., I wanted a clean break. I canceled everything in my name, even a $4.99 cloud subscription my mother used for recipes. I removed Sarah from the family phone plan, deleted shared Google Drive folders, including my father's tax documents. Let him figure it out. Tom showed up at my job, walking into the warehouse like we were fine. Sunglasses on a cloudy day. He wanted to talk one-on-one, said, I know you're upset, but you've made your point, right? I said I wasn't done. He called me a coward, said I was wrecking things for no reason, petty and vicious. Then I said something sharp and final. You were never family. You were just a cost. It silenced him. He stood there, then left without looking back. My mother called again. Voicemail. She didn't know what to do, said the family was falling apart, that I scared her with my coldness. I don't know who you are anymore, she said. For the first time, I felt peace. I knew who I was, not their wallet. A month passed. Silence became normal. No text from my mother, no passive-aggressive stories from Sarah, no fake apologies from Tom. The group chat was dead. It was the calmest I'd felt in years. I got visitation rights in Mexico. Not full custody, but something. My daughter could visit for the holidays. I started fixing the spare room, painting it yellow, buying her a desk, the first real furniture I'd bought in years. I still wore the same pants, drove the same truck, but it felt different. Then they pulled one last stunt. Likely Sarah's idea. A text from her. They wanted one final family meeting, no drama, to clear the air. I ignored it. My mother sent a handwritten letter like it was 1998 with a photo of us smiling at a beach rental a decade ago. A note read, "Before all this, please let's talk." I stared at it, then drove over unannounced. They were all there: mother, father, Sarah, Tom. Lines rehearsed. Tom spoke first. The prodigal wallet returns. I didn't smile. My mother said they realized things went too far, that I needed space, but we were still blood. I waited, let them spill their excuses and rewritten history. Then I laid it out. I told my mother she never shielded me from my father's passive jabs, that I wasn't her pension plan. I told Sarah she treated people like props and expected praise for the minimum. I told Tom he was a leech and not a clever one. Then I said something I regretted but meant. You're not my family. You're just people I grew up with. The room went still. My mother looked slapped. Sarah stood. Tom muttered about me being unhinged. I lingered a moment, then walked out. No goodbyes, no second chances. On the way home, guilt gnawed. I replayed every word, considered calling my mother to soften it, maybe half apologize. But I didn't. This silence wasn't abandonment. It was freedom. They wouldn't change. I wasn't going back, that I blocked them all, not out of spite, but necessity. I chose my daughter. I chose myself. I chose a future free of guilt chains. For the first time in years, I breathed fully. Update. A certified letter arrived, no return address, just my name in neat cursive. I thought it might be legal trouble, maybe Tom pulling something foolish. I almost didn't open it. Inside was a $3,800 check. No explanation. Just a note on torn paper. Sold the couch. Sold the necklaces. Figure this covers some of what I owe. Don't expect more. Not try to fix things. Just don't want a debt over me. And signed, but it was Sarah's handwriting and tone. Half apology, half defense. Typical. It sat on my counter for 4 days. I passed it making coffee, heading to bed, considered tearing it up. Part of me thought it was a trap. Part wondered if it was genuine. Sarah never returned anything. Not books, favors, or money. Now she's selling her stuff to settle a debt she once denied existed. On the 5th day, I deposited it, not for the money, but to feel what it was like to take something back. Something I never thought I'd get.
Thank you for watching my story. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and press the bell icon. Stay tuned for more real-life stories, get more experiences.